Hello, everyone. I'm here today with a special guest, Alex. We are going to be talking about a very important matter, very dear and near to my heart, mental health. And so, Alex is going to be talking to us a little bit about how he has seen mental health in his own life and give us his personal journey. So, here is my friend Alex. As I mentioned, I actually know him through our Catholic community. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit more?
Hey, my name is Alex Lambis. I am a Catholic, first and foremost. And so I run my own podcast called The Struggling Catholic. So if you ever want to hear about the struggles of life through a Catholic perspective, we talk about all sorts of things from anxiety to grief to friendship. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So it's a very, very vulnerable podcast, and I don't just invite Catholics over. I invite different guest speakers, and it's just really insightful. So that's one of the main things I do. I am also an athlete, so I do CrossFit on a regular basis, and so fitness is really, really important for me. And I help run the young adult ministry at St. Margaret Mary Catholic Church. And I currently work as a student life coordinator at Seminole State College over in Sanford, Lake Mary, Florida. So that's just kind of a little bit about me. Overall, I just love working alongside people, being around people, and talking about God.
If you're definitely looking for more of growing in your faith and learning more about working out, I mean, I have learned so much from you, Alex, just about CrossFit and about macros, something that I never even knew about. I was like, what? And so he has been really helpful for that. So definitely check out his podcast. I listened to it. I think it's great. He talks about friends, community, marriage, and so I even have a few friends that you have interviewed on that. And it's just so great to hear. I listen to it while I'm driving in the car, at home, and so I definitely recommend it. It's really great. I appreciate you for starting that.
Yeah. And I also am very active on Instagram, so follow me at Instagram at alexlambis.co if you want to receive all the updates.
I'll make sure to include that so you guys can follow him as well.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So let's get started. So I know that back a few months ago we had a young adult mental health event, and Alex was one of the speakers, and I actually was the one who introduced you as well. So this is like full circle. And so I just want to talk a little bit about how Alex's journey from when he started, when he first learned more about his own mental health, and where he has come now. So tell us about what you have learned in regards to discovering your own mental health journey.
Sure. So just to kind of jump right into it, depression and anxiety were pretty big struggles for me, but I don't think it became like a huge struggle for me until high school.
Okay, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I think adolescence is just a turbulent time.
Definitely.
You know, you got the hormones, you got just the confusion that comes with high school. So all of the gossip, uncertainty, all of the pressure that came with academics. So for me, I really started struggling with depression and anxiety during that time.
Okay.
I didn't have the vocabulary to describe that at 15.
Of course.
I couldn't just openly say I struggled with depression. It took a couple of years for me to recognize, oh, that was a struggle for me. So I think that's when I really, really started struggling with depression and anxiety. While I was in college, I think a lot of that calmed down. I had a really great community of people that I would hang out with, and I was just more focused. I would still go through episodes and stuff, but I think I had kind of a hand on it. And my time in college is when I really came to know God a bit more intimately, so I think that provided a lot of relief for me. But one thing I do want to mention is that just because you have faith in God and you come to know the Lord deeper, it doesn't mean that those struggles go away completely.
I think that's so important to mention. Yeah. I feel oftentimes I hear a lot of people say, well, why did God let this happen?
Yeah.
Or why am I experiencing this if God is real? So I think that's really important for everyone to hear and know and understand, is that there's still struggles in the world, and we're still learning to face those, not only individually with God, but with our community as well, which I think has been very helpful for me.
Yeah. And your troubles don't go away when you invite God into the picture. I like to say that instead of your troubles going away, you have to learn to invite God into those struggles and know that He is walking alongside with you. So it's not about living this perfect, immaculate life. Um, just because you trust in God doesn't mean that you're not going to get bruised and things aren't going to get ugly sometimes. Um, Circumstances and things inside are going to arise, but am I willing to invite God into that mess and see how He can make that into a redemptive experience? But anyways, for me, depression and anxiety uh, really started to arise again for me while I was in seminary. So in seminary, for those of you who don't know, seminary
Yes.
is a place where a lot of men go in the Catholic Church to discern priesthood. So I was thinking of becoming a Catholic priest at one point. And for me, that was a really high pressure atmosphere. I mean, I was taking tons of classes. I was being evaluated often.
So anyone in that predicament, being overwhelmed with coursework and then having all these evaluations could feel anxiety or depression.
Yeah. So, and when you're in an environment, and not everyone handled this environment differently.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was really difficult to manage. And a lot of those episodes of anxiety started to come up again. I would have a hard time getting out of bed. There'd be times where I needed to be at the chapel by 6:15, and I'm getting out of bed at 6:10.
Okay.
And it's hard for me to get up. I had trouble engaging conversations with other people. I had trouble focusing in class. I could just not sit down and read and focus. I just I couldn't find it in myself to have joy or to really engage with other people. So it was a really hard point for me in my life.
I think it's really important, as Alex is mentioning, that he is able to think back at the time of when he started noticing that depression and where those high pressures come in, and he's able to pinpoint, I wasn't able to get up on time, I wasn't able to do certain things. And so that's really eye-opening to each individual to know, like, maybe I should seek help. So how did you seek help, and how did you discover that you had a form of depression?
Sure. It took a while for me to figure things out. So the people that were in charge of me at seminary were a bit concerned, so they sent me to a psychologist. Now, this psychologist I had a ton of struggles with. She was not the best psychologist for me. It's who I was assigned to go to at the time. And so I did not feel understood by her, and I didn't feel like I could open up. And my advice is always find a counselor that you feel comfortable around with, because you don't want to perpetuate your struggles. So I felt like my anxiety was getting worse at one point. Long story short, I left seminary, and along with leaving seminary, I left behind that psychologist, because at the time she was really insistent on me going on antidepressants. I don't have anything against antidepressants for people who choose to go on antidepressants or on medication. That is their personal choice. I was not comfortable with going on antidepressants personally. I didn't want to deal with any sort of withdrawal. And at the time, I was not really focusing on my health. I wasn't healthy. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't exercising. So for me at the time, antidepressants was not the best option.
I think that Alex brings up two really good points. One, in regards to psychologists or therapists, I like to tell people, I think it's the same thing as, like, if you're going to get your hair cut or getting your nails done or going to a general doctor. Not every experience is going to be the one for you, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going somewhere to get your hair cut and you're not liking how they cut your hair, you're not going to never get your hair cut again. You're just going to try a different location or try a different individual. And so I think it's the same thing with therapy. Finding that individual that you can align with, that you feel comfortable, that you can start the process of healing.
Yeah.
And another thing that you mentioned in regards to medication. So for therapy, there are multiple avenues that you can take. One is medication. One is therapy, counseling. So going in an office, speaking to someone. A lot of things are also kind of looking into your personal life. So whether that's community, whether that's God, whether that's reading more in regards to what you're facing. And so there are different avenues. Medication is not the only answer.
Yeah. So for me, the avenue I wanted to take was to own my health more. And that ended up being a life-changing journey for me.
Yes.
So I started getting into CrossFit, and CrossFit's really intense. You're putting barbells over your head. You're doing crazy workouts that are making your heart rate go up. But for me, that really helped me with handling grief and mourning and anxiety, because in that workout, I'm not thinking about anything that's going wrong in my life.
You're solely focused on the activity that you're doing.
And it helps you to be more present, just in life in general. And so I personally think that whatever good you do for your body, you do for your mind and for your soul. So I really invested a lot of time in that. And I forgot to mention that I was actually diagnosed with a mild form of depression called dysthymia. And so it kind of helped me kind of overcome that. And I would say that, not that I don't have days where I don't feel depressed or I don't feel down, but those days are a lot less now. And one thing that I would also encourage other people is pay attention to your environment. Are you in an environment that is empowering you? That are you around people that are really uplifting you, saying the right things? Because your environment has a lot to do with your mental health too. And for me, that once I had more control of my environment, the people I was surrounded by, and I got to have more ownership of the decisions in my life, I experienced a lot more freedom.
Do you feel, so you mentioned community, did you feel that you always had the right community that you needed?
I think so. I think I had some good positive friendships where I was able to talk about certain struggles with. So I always make it a point to have good friends who walk alongside me and love me when I'm in my mess and my imperfection.
That's really important.
Yeah. So it's just good to have good authentic friendship where you can have real conversation. So I don't think I was ever without a community. Especially being in a faith circle, that's one of the benefits. So just having people that have same values and aspire to we're all aspiring to go to heaven together. So that was really important for me. And I forgot to mention that I also got there's lots to this story. I also had a good therapist that I was working with, and she really helped
post-seminary. Perfect.
She really helped to redeem that experience of that bad encounter I had with that psychologist. So working alongside with her and unraveling everything that I had gone through was really helpful.
So you mentioned in regards to community that you've always had a sense of community. Not everyone does. And so also you mentioned in regards to the psychologist that you didn't have a great experience and then you did. So what were some distinguishing things that you can maybe recommend to people who don't have a good community or who aren't certain what to do in that aspect?
Yeah. I think one danger is to be isolated. That's a real danger, to be isolated and to keep everything to yourself. Because when we have wounds or when we have struggles, it's really easy to fall into that mentality of I can fix this on my own. And that's not true. God made us to be people who need community, people who are in need of human connection. And so I would always make it a point to just start small. Join a young adult group. Join a place where you can have more interaction with people. Make it a point to invest in a counselor. I know that sometimes getting a counselor can be kind of a costly experience, but I really do believe, just like when it came to my physical health, it's all about investing. What are you investing your time to? Maybe investing time speaking with a counselor, or if you're a person of faith, a pastor or some sort of spiritual director, someone who can give you a different perspective, because it's really important to receive from other people. And just starting off small.
I think something that aligns with everything is someone looking from the outside
Yeah.
in, because we're only looking inside, right? So we only know what we know and what we see and what we're experiencing, and so sometimes we can get caught up in that and not really know how to get out or look for help.
Yeah.
So really having someone that you trust and that aligns with your beliefs is really important, to have that outside look and to hold you accountable. I think accountability is so important, and it's definitely worked wonders in my life.
Yeah, just actually getting that perspective and people telling you like, no, you're not thinking about this rationally, or yes, what you're feeling is totally real. And so it helps to have that comfort and to keep walking alongside together.
Yeah, I think it's really important because you don't feel alone when you do have that. And so just knowing that, someone is there to support you, is in your corner, wants to see you succeed. And then you also, it's like mutually beneficial because you're also there for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We need each other in life. You're not meant to go through life alone. And so that's one thing that I tell anybody, whether you are struggling with depression, anxiety, or any sort of struggle, like, you're not at it alone. Other people have gone through the same things, and they can definitely provide a perspective that will give you hope and refresh your mind and help you to move forward.
I think that's a really important word right there, hope. So there is hope to find community, to find your faith, to find a new beginning. So just because you may have been in this season in your life that has been a struggle or something that you can't get out of, there is hope and it's possible.
Yep.
I think that's great ending right there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is Alex. I'm going to leave his Instagram, his podcast, and everything so you can find him. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.